Hi, so today we're making shrimp fajitas, but before we make those, we're going to start off with dicing a jalapeno. Now, before we do that, it's important that you wear gloves. That way any of the oil from the jalapeno, if it gets on your skin and you happen to touch your face or anything like that, it doesn't burn you or anything like that. Now, to begin, you want to have a paring knife, but you can do this with a chef knife. So first, you want to go ahead and cut off from the top. You can put that to the side. And then you want to go ahead and cut from the middle. Once you do that, you can cut it open. And as you can see, we have the jalapeno seeds and the flesh inside, and that's what makes it spicy. So if you want it really spicy, you can keep all of it in, but if you don't, then we can do just like so. We can take our knife, and then we will just gently slide the paring knife under the flesh and pull those out. And now we have a clean jalapeno. And now for dicing it, you can take your chef knife and just make strips and keep your fingers curled. And now you have about 4 strips like that. And since this is small, it'll be a small dice, and we can just go ahead and dice them. And as you can see, we have small diced jalapenos ready for our fajitas. Now, we're going to go ahead and start making our fajitas. So we can go ahead and turn on our induction burner, put it on medium-high, and let that heat up for a moment. Now, the important thing when making this recipe is you want to make sure that your shrimp has been marinating. The recipe calls to marinate this for 15 minutes, but you can do it for much longer. In our marinade, we have chili peppers, cumin, lemon juice, and olive oil. And then you can just put that in a Ziploc bag and then throw it in the fridge, and then that will be marinating. That way you can have really juicy, flavorful shrimp. And while you're waiting for your pan to heat up, it's okay to have everything cleaned off. That way you don't have a big mess to clean up later. Almost there. We can go ahead and put our oil in. Move that around. And once you start to see ripples in the oil, you know that it's hot enough. That way you can get a nice sear on the veggies. Now, I'm holding my hand over the oil just to get an indication over when it's hot enough. So now it feels hot enough, so we're going to go ahead and drop our red and green bell peppers in. And by that sizzle, you can tell it's hot enough. Add our onions. And then season your veggies with some salt and pepper. And then you want to saute them until they're soft and tender. So about 5 minutes. And be sure to occasionally stir them, that way nothing sticks to the pan. And you'll know when this is ready by the indication of your onions when they become translucent. Now, as these are cooking, it's important to note that everything is of the same size. That way everything cooks evenly and at the same time. As you can see, the onions are starting to change, so we'll be ready to move on in just a few moments. Okay. Now we can go ahead and add our jalapenos. And add our garlic. And these will only saute for about a minute because you don't want your garlic to burn. And you can season with salt and pepper. After about a minute, you can go ahead and put the veggie mixture in a bowl to the side, like so. And don't worry about getting every morsel out. It's okay, because everything will come back together soon. Now that we have the veggie mixture done, we're going to add some more oil to the pan. Not too much, since there's still some here. Let that heat up for a few seconds. Prepare to add your shrimp. Now, as I said earlier, we've been marinating our shrimp. We can take that and just drop it in the pan and make sure it's nice and hot. And we'll be cooking the shrimp for about a minute on each side until it's nice and pink. After about a minute or two, you can go ahead and flip the shrimp. And when you flip it, you'll see that nice, beautiful sear on the other side. And you'll know when the shrimp is done when you touch it and it's slightly firm, but you don't want it overcooked. And then there's also no pink, as you can see right here in the middle. Now, since some pieces of shrimp are bigger than the other, they'll take a little bit longer. Now our shrimp is almost done, so we can go ahead and take our veggie mixture from earlier and toss that back in the pan. Make sure you lower your heat so you don't burn anything. And just stir it all up together. Now you want to incorporate everything together so all the juices and flavors mix well together. And once you do that, you can get ready to start plating. So this recipe calls for corn tortillas, but we're going to go ahead and use flour, which is perfectly fine. So we're going to take our shrimp fajita mix and get a nice healthy portion. Got a good amount right there in the middle. Now we're going to garnish with some fresh chopped cilantro and cojilla cheese. And there you go, shrimp fajitas.